Wow, that was the finale. What's up with Nikki, yo? I thought she had Barry's back. Man, she had her own ambition. That's how it works in the world of hip-hop and hip-hop business. With a crazy finale, I'm looking forward to the next season. We want all you guys to tune into that next season as well. You know what I want to do, and I want y'all to do it with me? Let's take a look back at some of my favorite clips from Behind the Breaks. One of my favorite moments is sitting down with Mano and Uncle Murder at Peaches in Brooklyn. Sat down over some food, listening to Mano's story, how he transitioned from being a guy in the streets into a popular name in hip-hop. In fact, through hip-hop is how a lot of us escape the streets. Check this out. Early on in the game, you were a lot like right?
Right, because that was, to me, was the biggest issue. It was the transition from being a street dude and trying to get into the music business. Being in the street is what we know. It feels like home, being in the street, doing things in that realm. What's scary is getting into the industry or trying to be in the industry because you're going into lands that you've never been in before.
So the industry was scarier than being in the streets?
Yeah, definitely.
You're out your comfort zone.
Right.
Something different now. Got to put on a new face a little bit, see how you're gonna fit in or get in.
Did you ever feel like the more time you spent around the music business, the less sharp you were for being in the streets?
I think you still stay on point with the streets because when you rolling with certain people, kind of like every day, you still got the same mentality or attitude. Eventually, you got to make a switch, but as far as being on point and ready for certain things that happen in the streets, I think you be on point still.
One of the most enlightening moments we had in this series is sitting down with arguably one of the greatest producers hip-hop has ever produced, and we talked about one of the greatest songs that ever came from hip-hop, but we invited Mac Wiles to sit down with the legendary Pete Rock. Me and my man T was talking about this. He brought up a good point. There are a few songs, man, that in hip-hop history, The Message is one of them.
Yep.
People would say arguably are the greatest songs that hip-hop ever made. Troy is one of them. How did you gather yourself to put that song together? And then who was T-Roy?
I think God knew how special Troy was to me, obviously, because, I bawled out when I heard the news. I have called hysterically. That was the worst day of my life, man. And now that Hef is gone and, I lost plenty of folks, it just gets you right here.
Every time.
And the lyrics, too.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody need to ask him what was he on.
No, yeah, seriously.
When he was writing that, because he wrote something that everybody could feel, because it's like Troy was family. It was straight magic, and I swear I thought God was in the room when I was doing it. You know what I'm saying?
He was.
Yeah.
And to compare the trials and tribulations that Mac Wiles' character DV goes through with a real-life producer like Pete Rock. Check this out. We got one of the architects right here, the main ingredient.
Yes.
No pun intended.
Yes.
When we were starting to work on the breaks, one of the characters, like with DV, like the two people that I tried to put together to make DV was Pete and Primo. Like, I wondered, like, what would that, like, that kid be like?
Wow. Another conversation we had was with one of the groups that has sustained through time because of who they are, the Lox. They're original, they're real, they're relatable, and talking to the Lox about being innovative, being unique, these are basic fundamentals in hip-hop that have gotten lost along the way. And this fundamental is one of the most important because listen to how passionate Styles P gets when he talks about the importance of being original.
You couldn't come out sounding like another person back then.
Hell no.
I just the illest
All these MCs sound alike. Like, you gotta think, Nas couldn't sound like Hov.
Hell no.
Hov couldn't sound like Big. Mobb Deep couldn't sound like us. We couldn't sound like
say
MOP.
that, real talk.
Like, you had to have something to say every week. Nah, they know this is me. Be clear of it. This is where we all lost. Hip-hop was invented for the lost. Us, we ain't have We ain't have shit in the early 80s and all that. Like, you didn't have education. You went to school, learned bull. Came outside, you was poor. There was no community centers for black kids. None of that shit. We had hip-hop that taught us who we was, gave us a culture, gave us a religion, a way to walk, talk, sleep, eat, hang out, be. Now everybody wanted a part of it, and we let them get in. And then control our and say what's what. Now be like, yo, what'd he sell the first week?
Yeah.
What he sold, was it dope?
Or was it not?
Was it not? That's it.
Okay, listen, so during the breaks, man, we had a chance to really reflect on hip-hop and how it evolved through journalism, how hip-hop started to take control of its own narrative, and we did it through the lens of a journalist who was also a woman. So with that, she faced a lot of adversity as well. I'm talking about Kim Osorio, whose real life actually parallels the life of the character Demeter, who's a journalist in the breaks. There were a lot of great topics and subject matter that we covered throughout this whole series, The Breaks, but when I sat down with Kim Osorio, Daytwan Thomas, Dan Charnas, and got to the origins of hip-hop journalism, that just opened up a whole world of possibilities and a whole world of thought.
Now, you mentioned Source Magazine. We have Kim Osorio, who's here. At one point, you was an editor-in-chief of Source Magazine, right? How did you view journalism, and what was you seeing that made you want to become a full-time?
At the time, I was in college. I was just a fan of hip-hop. And, you know, before the Source, I'm gonna keep it funky, I had Word Up and Right On, right? But they were just doing Q&A pieces. And you were, you know, you were taking the posters of your favorite rapper and putting them on your wall. You weren't reading stories with substance. And what the Source did was the Source came in and it reported from a very political view. It was, you know, hard-hitting journalism from us, from the hip-hop community.
That was the one thing you spent money on: kicks, records, and the Source.
I have to admit, I might be a little biased because I came up in the game as an MC, but then radio really catapulted my career. And one of my mentors throughout my life was the legendary, iconic DJ Red Alert. He's a person I modeled my career after in radio. And then we had Mr. C and DJ Enough, and we all talked about how radio changed the face of hip hop and helped bring it to the mainstream.
Radio in the 90s was the best because we got to play what we wanted. I don't remember any rules. We had a chance, a shot to give people their voice. And to me, that was the most amazing feeling in the world.
Other than Red putting a stamp on you, how hard would it have been to get on the station?
Without Red, it's not happening. Red is the godfather. There's only a few, I mean, I could count them as Magic, him, Red, maybe Chuck. These guys were the stamps. Initially, when Red first started, when they were on the radio, I don't think they thought it was cool. Like, people were like, that's not cool. But they made it cool.
You know, first it's always going to be recognized as a mix show on radio. We have brought the elements of the culture of hip-hop into it. And then we was able to come and do our little street talk.
In different day parts, you couldn't play the rap version of a R&B song. Like if it was a Friends song with Jody Watley or something, you couldn't play the Rakim version. You remember that? What year did you see hip-hop actually become more prominent in everyday part?
Between late 80s going into the 90s. It was starting to hit more mainstream. But when you start having R&B artists and R&B groups start taking hip-hop artists to put on their songs, they say, oh, that means something. So, you know, when you had Heavy D with Levert, that was big to us.
One thing about hip-hop culture is when you give a man an arm, he's gonna take an arm and a leg. And once we got from in front of the mic, in front of the camera, we learned about the process behind the mic and behind the camera, the business of music. And throughout hip-hop, as it evolved, you've seen a lot of great businessmen come out, whether it was Russell Simmons, whether it was Master P, whether it was P. Diddy, Jay-Z, or someone like Kevin Liles. There was always something to learn about the business, and that's what appealed to us most. And just like Wood Harris's character, Foray in the Breaks, who became someone who really wanted to master his business, Kevin Liles, in real life, tells you how he was able to do it for himself as well as others. Check this out. Today, you think of Jay-Z, you think of P. Diddy, you think of yourself. We can name a slew of others. Who were some of those godfathers when you were coming up?
It wouldn't be respectful to not say we knew what Berry Gordy meant and did for our culture. When I saw Russell in the hoodie sitting on top of the Rolls Royce on Black Enterprise magazine, I knew there was some money to get, because I know he didn't rap. I know he produced or something, but I used to go do shows and somebody would hire me to do a show. But then I would want to know, well, who's putting on the show? Because if they can afford to pay me this, what's the business of what we doing here today? And that's what got me into the business side of the music. You know, and I always say, I'm not in the music business, I'm in the business of music.
You came into business initially as an artist. You know, where did you find that medium without corrupting the artist side
and without being lackadaisical on the business side?
It just wasn't meant for me to be that. But how I really felt, I became the president and CEO of Def Jam. We ran 60% of rap at a particular time. So I was the biggest artist. To me, I signed the checks. God might not have made it that way, but it was a journey that I needed to go to see how artists should be treated. Yo, whenever I go to Kev's market, he got everything straight. I just bought that sense of, you ain't got nothing to worry about when you're with me. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing.
Hey man, it's been great, you know, walking with you guys through this journey, watching the breaks, breaking down this hip hop history. You guys are documentarians now. We all documented this together. All right, I'm Sway Calloway. I'm still a child of hip hop culture, and I'm right in the trenches of it. And you want to talk to me about any of this, hit me at Real Sway on social media. I got your back. And you want to watch more about the breaks, go to VH1.com. We out. Peace.
When you got what you got. I stood back like I said, oh, you got it.
Legend. With the legend himself, right?
Oh, Pete, they came, man. All right, give it up for the locks, yo.